History is full of towering figures who shaped nations, led armies, or wrote laws, but sometimes, the most lasting influence comes from those who work quietly behind the scenes, guiding, nurturing, and inspiring across generations. One such figure is the Queen Mother. With grace, strength, and an unwavering sense of duty, she became more than royalty. She became a symbol of resilience, tradition, and enduring leadership. Her story is not just one of palaces and pageantry, but of humanity, wisdom, and legacy. Welcome to our channel, Words of Time, and in this video we will explore the remarkable and lasting impact of the Queen Mother. We'll delve into how she became a national icon, how she helped shape modern perceptions of monarchy and women in leadership, and what her legacy means for the future of the royal family in a changing world. Let's begin this journey through history and influence. The transformation of a royal figure from dowager to power broker is not just a narrative of personal evolution, but one deeply enmeshed in the shifting tides of monarchy, public expectation, and historical circumstance. The Queen Mother, Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, is a remarkable example of how symbolic power can be wielded with subtlety and persistence. Born into the aristocracy and later married into royalty, she never expected to become queen consort. Her husband, Albert, Duke of York, was not the heir to the throne. But with the abdication crisis of 1936, her life was irrevocably changed, and her role evolved beyond the traditional expectations of royal womanhood. Her eventual emergence as a figure of stability, tradition, and understated authority speaks to the ways in which public figures can come to embody national identity in times of uncertainty. Symbolic power, particularly within monarchies, does not always derive from direct control or legislative influence. Instead, it often stems from what a figure represents. In the Queen Mother's case, her enduring image as the Queen Mum became a living representation of continuity through some of Britain's most turbulent decades. Her presence was reassuring, and her carefully cultivated image of warmth and stoicism became an emotional anchor for the public. After the death of King George VI in 1952, Elizabeth assumed the title of Queen Mother and embarked on a public life that lasted another half-century. Her symbolic power came from her perceived moral authority, her ability to carry the memory and dignity of the wartime monarchy, and her almost theatrical embodiment of British resilience. The concept of symbolic power is intimately tied to perception. Elizabeth did not wield formal political authority, yet her presence at ceremonial functions, her patronage of charitable organizations, and her very demeanor were politically significant. During World War II, she famously refused to leave London during the Blitz, stating, "The children won't go without me. I won't leave the king. And the king will never leave." This simple declaration resonated across class lines and forged a lasting bond with the British public. Her visibility during air raids and her determination to share in the nation's suffering transformed her into a symbol of shared endurance. She became a part of the collective national psyche, representing a past that many felt nostalgic for, a time of unity and moral clarity. Her role post-widowhood evolved in accordance with shifting societal expectations. As widowhood transformed her from queen consort to Queen Mother, she faced a new set of expectations, often conflicting ones. The royal family had to strike a careful balance between tradition and modernity, privacy and public exposure. Elizabeth managed to maintain her relevance without appearing to compete with her daughter, Queen Elizabeth II, whose own reign was shaped by the challenge of leading a post-imperial, post-war Britain. The Queen Mother, for her part, assumed a matriarchal posture that never overtly challenged her daughter's authority but nevertheless exerted considerable influence behind the scenes. Being a royal widow was not a passive role, despite its seeming restrictions. The Queen Mother understood the performative aspect of monarchy. Every public appearance, every speech, every gesture was a reinforcement of the values she represented. In this way, she managed to remain a fixture in British public life for decades, even as the monarchy itself underwent dramatic changes. She was not without controversy. Her privileged lifestyle and some of her conservative views were criticized, but these rarely tarnished her image. Part of her power lay in her ability to remain above the fray, to function as a kind of living relic of the British Empire's golden age, while subtly guiding and preserving royal traditions. Her enduring symbolic significance is inseparable from the expectations placed upon her, especially in the wake of personal loss. The death of her husband, King George VI, was not merely a private tragedy, it was a moment of national grief. Royal protocol demanded that her response be tempered, dignified, and steeped in ceremonial decorum. Grief for a royal is often stylized. The Queen Mother, in mourning, had to maintain composure not just for her family but for the nation. She became a living symbol of the burden of duty, of the monarchy's ability to transcend personal sorrow in the service of a higher cause. This was not an easy role. The psychological weight of such expectations cannot be overstated. Public figures are often denied the space to grieve in private, especially those at the apex of symbolic power like the Queen Mother. Every aspect of her mourning was scrutinized and imbued with national significance. Her comportment during those years helped to cement the idea of the monarchy as a stable, unchanging institution, even when its members were personally affected by loss. In this way, the Queen Mother became a kind of emotional barometer for the country, her personal endurance seen as a metaphor for Britain's resilience in the face of adversity. This interplay between public expectation and personal identity reflects broader historical trends regarding the roles of widows and elderly women in society. In the 20th century, particularly in the earlier decades, widowhood often marked a retreat from public life. However, Elizabeth's trajectory subverted that norm. Instead of fading into the background, she became more prominent, more visible, and arguably more influential. This reflects the changing nature of female power in the 20th century. As the feminist movement gained ground and women increasingly entered public and professional life, the archetype of the passive, grieving widow gave way to figures like the Queen Mother, stoic, active, and publicly engaged. Her influence was not just emotional or symbolic, it also extended to the political and institutional aspects of monarchy. Behind the scenes, she was known to wield considerable influence in court appointments and royal protocol. Her relationships with politicians, clergy, and other members of the aristocracy allowed her to act as a bridge between the traditional structures of power and the evolving expectations of a modern Britain. She was often described as the monarchy's secret weapon, a reminder of the past whose approval still carried weight in contemporary royal decisions. The historical context of her widowhood is also crucial to understanding her role. In the post-war years, Britain was undergoing profound social transformation. The dissolution of the British Empire, the rise of the welfare state, and the changing class structure meant that the monarchy could no longer rely on divine right or imperial grandeur to sustain its legitimacy. It needed new symbols, ones rooted in continuity, reliability, and emotional resonance. The Queen Mother provided all three. As the widow of a beloved king and the mother of a reigning queen, she embodied both the memory of wartime solidarity and the enduring presence of royal lineage. The 20th century was also a time of increasing media scrutiny. Monarchs and royals were no longer distant figures. They were subject to the same public gaze as film stars and politicians. The Queen Mother navigated this new landscape with a deftness that preserved the mystique of royalty while allowing for a degree of accessibility. She was photographed attending horse races, engaging in charitable work, and spending time with her grandchildren, activities that humanized her without undermining her status. This balancing act was a crucial part of her symbolic power. She represented the monarchy's capacity to adapt without capitulating to populism. Her transformation from dowager to power broker was gradual and often obscured by her unassuming demeanor. Unlike more overtly political figures, the Queen Mother's power lay in her constancy. She did not seek the spotlight, yet she remained at the center of royal life. Her presence at key state functions, her influence in royal family dynamics, and her careful stewardship of tradition helped to shape the public's perception of what the monarchy stood for. In this way, she functioned as both guardian and architect of royal symbolism. The legacy of the Queen Mother is instructive in understanding how non-sovereign royals can wield influence. While the Queen or King reigns, figures like the Queen Mother can subtly guide, support, and even shape the monarchy's direction. Their symbolic roles often outlast those of reigning monarchs, precisely because they are not bound by the political constraints of sovereignty. They are freer to represent ideals, duty, service, continuity that can transcend any particular reign. As British society became more democratic and diverse, the monarchy's role was increasingly questioned. Republican sentiments grew, and the institution's relevance was challenged by new cultural norms. Yet the Queen Mother remained popular until her death in 2002. Her longevity became a symbol in itself. She spanned eras, witnessed wars, and remained steadfast in a changing world. This temporal breadth gave her a unique authority. She had seen the world before the Second World War, lived through the empire's decline, and remained present in the 21st century. In many ways, she personified the history of modern Britain. Her funeral, watched by millions, was not just a farewell to an individual but a closing chapter of a particular kind of monarchy. The Queen Mother represented a bridge between the old world and the new. Her death marked the end of an era in which royal mystique could still be maintained, where symbolic power rested on carefully crafted narratives of duty, resilience, and decorum. In this sense, her life can be seen as a study in the art of royal endurance, how to remain relevant without appearing ambitious, how to influence without commanding, and how to represent a nation without speaking for it directly. Her symbolic power thus becomes a lens through which we can examine the monarchy itself. In times of constitutional change, media upheaval, and social transformation, figures like the Queen Mother help to stabilize national identity. Their personal stories become national narratives, and their private lives are mapped onto public consciousness. Elizabeth Boseley's journey from a reluctant queen to a beloved matriarch illustrates how public expectation, historical context, and personal character converge to create enduring symbols of power. Moreover, her story highlights the unique role women play within constitutional monarchies. Often denied formal authority, they have historically wielded influence through image, conduct, and the management of tradition. The Queen Mother's life exemplifies how such symbolic power can be more enduring than formal power. Monarchs reign, but symbols persist. Her ability to adapt without changing, to evolve without appearing modern, and to embody values that were increasingly rare in the public sphere allowed her to maintain relevance well into her later years. The Queen Mother's legacy challenges the idea that power must be visible to be real. Her quiet influence, rooted in memory, tradition, and emotional resonance, was no less potent for being understated. In her, we see the monarchy not as an instrument of governance, but as a vessel of national feeling. Her life offers a profound meditation on the nature of public service, the burden of visibility, and the enduring strength of symbolic roles in shaping a nation's identity. Navigating the intricate maze of royal life has always demanded a balance between visibility and discretion, allegiance and independence, tradition and adaptability. The role of the Queen Mother within the royal court is one that exemplifies this delicate dance. Though not occupying the throne, she often holds a unique position of influence, bridging generations, navigating familial ties, wielding soft power, and sustaining the monarchy's moral fabric. Historically, Queen Mothers have had to manage the conflicting roles of advisor, symbol, matriarch, and political player, all while facing the relentless glare of public scrutiny and the shifting tides of national sentiment. Within the layers of ceremony, hierarchy, and unspoken protocol, their power was rarely overt but no less impactful. Their agency operated within constraints, often hidden behind smiles, carefully worded statements, and acts of patronage that doubled as political gestures. Royal courts are, by their nature, complex systems where tradition, duty, and interpersonal politics intermingle. They are not merely households but institutions with centuries-old customs, unspoken hierarchies, and political implications that extend far beyond palace walls. Within this labyrinth, Queen Mothers must maintain allegiance to the monarchy while cultivating their own distinct identity and utility. One of the main complexities lies in the family dynamics at play. The Queen Mother is often the widow of a king and the mother of a reigning monarch. This dual status affords her both reverence and an awkward ambiguity. Her past role as queen consort carries a dignity that commands respect, yet she no longer holds formal sovereignty. Simultaneously, her relationship to the reigning monarch can range from advisory to ceremonial, deeply personal yet tempered by constitutional constraints. Navigating such family dynamics requires immense emotional intelligence. Loyalty to the crown can sometimes conflict with maternal instincts. In private, a Queen Mother may guide or even challenge her child, the sovereign, but in public she must always appear supportive, dignified, and apolitical. This balance becomes more complicated when other family members' siblings, cousins, in-laws also vie for attention or influence. The Queen Mother must remain a neutral presence in public perception while privately managing tensions and alliances within the family. These relationships, often played out against the backdrop of court rivalries and political intrigue, demand discretion and strategic thinking. Beyond the palace walls, public scrutiny amplifies every gesture. The Queen Mother is expected to embody continuity, duty, and grace. Unlike elected figures, she is not afforded a private self in the eyes of the public. Her behavior sets an example, her decisions inspire commentary, and her preferences can signal broader shifts within the royal establishment. Thus, even seemingly benign acts such as the charities she supports, the people she is seen with, or the causes she advocates carry weight. They are read as endorsements or rejections, as cues to the values and direction of the monarchy. In such a climate, direct confrontation or visible political maneuvering is rarely an option. Instead, Queen Mothers have historically wielded influence through quieter means. Diplomacy becomes central. They must navigate both court and political worlds without stepping outside the bounds of constitutional propriety. This might include fostering relationships with key political figures, offering counsel to younger royals, or using their platform to subtly shape public discourse. By attending certain events or aligning themselves with specific causes, they can reflect or gently nudge societal attitudes. They also act as intermediaries able to speak where the monarch must remain silent, to offer context when the sovereign must remain above politics. Patronage is one of the most enduring tools of influence available to a queen mother. The act of sponsoring artists, supporting charitable organizations, or funding educational initiatives may seem apolitical, but it plays a critical role in constructing the public image of the monarchy. Through patronage, queen mothers have historically shaped cultural and social values, often embedding their personal convictions within broader public projects. For instance, supporting hospitals or orphanages underscores royal compassion. Championing the arts can reinforce cultural sophistication. Backing women's initiatives may hint at progressive leanings. Public opinion, though elusive and ever-changing, is not beyond the reach of a queen mother's influence. Through her symbolic presence and steady visibility, she contributes to the emotional resonance of the monarchy. In times of national crisis or royal scandal, her constancy can provide a sense of moral grounding. Unlike reigning monarchs, queen mothers have a certain latitude. They are often seen as less constrained by the need for neutrality, which allows them to connect more directly with the public. This ability to personify empathy, endurance, and dignity allows them to act as emotional conduits between the crown and its subjects. Historical examples provide compelling illustrations of how queen mothers have exercised agency within these constraints. Queen Alexandra, wife of Edward VII and mother of George V, exemplified this role during her widowhood. Though her husband had often kept her at a distance during his reign, Alexandra emerged as a beloved figure in her own right. Her popularity with the public, grounded in her beauty, style, and charitable work, enabled her to influence social norms, especially around health and welfare. She supported numerous hospitals and was instrumental in promoting medical causes, particularly those aiding children and veterans. Her patronage was not merely decorative, it was a subtle means of crafting a public persona rooted in compassion and active engagement, enhancing the moral capital of the royal family. Similarly, Queen Mary, consort of George V and grandmother to Queen Elizabeth II, wielded a form of cultural power that was both sophisticated and enduring. Known for her austere demeanor and deep commitment to tradition, Queen Mary played a critical role in shaping the monarchy's artistic and ceremonial legacy. She was a keen collector and patron of the arts, helping to preserve historic buildings, curate royal collections, and elevate the cultural profile of the monarchy. In doing so, she positioned the royal family as guardians of national heritage. Her emphasis on continuity and decorum became central to the monarchy's image in the early 20th century, particularly as it adjusted to modern political realities and the trauma of two world wars. Queen Mary also exercised her influence within the royal family itself. Her guidance to her granddaughters, including the future Queen Elizabeth II, helped instill a sense of duty and restraint that would define the post-war monarchy. Though she never overstepped her formal role, her presence was a constant reminder of monarchical standards. She bridged eras, linking the Victorian legacy with the emerging modern royal identity. Her agency was wielded not through public statements or political involvement, but through her control of ceremonial practices, her influence over royal etiquette, and her deep investment in the monarchy's visual and material culture. These examples highlight how queen mothers have operated within a limited formal remit to shape the monarchy's direction and sustain its relevance. Their actions, though often seen as secondary to the sovereigns, play a vital role in the institutional life of royalty. They are keepers of memory, stewards of tradition, and shapers of public sentiment. The palace labyrinth may be governed by strict codes and complex hierarchies, but within its corridors the Queen Mother finds ways to move gracefully, tactfully, and often decisively. This capacity for influence is particularly important during moments of transition or uncertainty. After the death of a monarch, the Queen Mother may serve as a source of continuity, offering both comfort to the new sovereign and stability to the public. She can smooth the transition between reigns, drawing upon her reservoir of experience and public goodwill. Her symbolic power becomes especially potent in such times, as people seek reassurance in familiar faces and enduring institutions. She provides a living link to the past, a reminder of the monarchy's historical depth and resilience. The importance of such symbolic continuity cannot be overstated. Monarchies derive much of their legitimacy not from constitutions but from emotion, tradition, and perception. In this realm, the Queen Mother is an indispensable figure. Her presence affirms the monarchy's permanence, her example reinforces its values, and her influence helps steer it through the changing currents of public life. She is both a witness and a participant in history, embodying the stability that monarchy promises while adapting to the realities it must face. Even as the nature of monarchy evolves in the 21st century, the lessons of past queen mothers remain instructive. Their experience shows that power need not be overt to be effective, that influence can be wielded with subtlety, and that legacy is often built not through proclamation but through consistent, thoughtful action. Their ability to navigate the royal labyrinth speaks to a form of intelligence and strength often underappreciated in historical narratives. It is a power of presence, of continuity, of discretion, a power forged not in authority but in understanding. Moreover, their stories challenge assumptions about women's roles in political and ceremonial life. Operating within systems that often limited female agency, queen mothers found ways to assert themselves, shape outcomes and sustain values. Their lives were not defined by passivity, but by a sophisticated form of engagement that required as much courage as any battlefield command or parliamentary speech. They were diplomats in pearls, strategists in brocade, and cultural architects whose legacy continues to shape how we understand monarchy today. As society becomes more aware of the different ways in which influence operates, whether through media, culture, or interpersonal networks, the role of the Queen Mother can be seen as a precursor to modern forms of leadership that do not rely on formal power. Her life within the royal labyrinth is a study in resilience, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. Whether supporting a young monarch, guiding a nation through war, or quietly preserving traditions, she embodies a kind of soft power that is both enduring and profound. Navigating the royal labyrinth requires more than a map. It demands intuition, discretion, and a deep understanding of people and institutions. The Queen Mother, throughout history, has proven to be uniquely equipped for this task. She walks its halls not as a passive figure of reverence but as a quiet force behind the scenes, shaping the monarchy's past, present, and future. In her journey, we see not only the evolution of a role but the enduring complexity of monarchy itself, a world where power is often hidden, yet always felt. In the realm of monarchy, where tradition often outweighs transformation and visibility is both a privilege and a burden, public image becomes one of the most significant tools of influence. The Queen Mother, as a royal figure positioned between sovereignty and familial matriarchy, has historically occupied a unique space in the national consciousness. While her constitutional powers may be negligible, her ability to embody national values, inspire emotional allegiance, and serve as a unifying figure gives her considerable symbolic power. Nowhere is this more apparent than in how public image is shaped and wielded not as a static representation of status, but as a dynamic tool to uplift morale, bridge the divide between royalty and the public, and reinforce the legitimacy of the monarchy in times of both stability and crisis. Public appearances are the most immediate and visible aspect of royal duty. For the Queen Mother, the act of appearing in public is not merely ceremonial. It is a gesture laden with political and emotional significance. Whether attending charity events, hospital openings, or state functions, her presence sends a message of continuity, reassurance, and stability. Over the decades, Queen Mothers have used these appearances to reflect national mood and provide comfort, particularly during times of collective anxiety. The very act of showing up, of standing with the people, visibly sharing in their joys or their hardships, strengthens the emotional contract between the monarchy and its subjects. Public appearances are carefully choreographed, yet the best of them seem spontaneous, human, and warm. This is where the Queen Mother's talent for connection shines. With a gentle touch, a well-timed smile, or a word of encouragement, she can bridge the symbolic distance between crown and citizen. This is more than mere charm, it is a political performance of solidarity. During times of war, recession, or political instability, her public visibility helps to steady the national psyche. By standing in hospitals among wounded soldiers, visiting bombed neighborhoods, or mingling with common citizens at local events, she reinforces the monarchy's role as a moral anchor. This became particularly significant during the Second World War, when Queen Elizabeth, later known as the Queen Mother, transformed public appearance into an act of national resilience. Her decision to remain in London with King George VI during the Blitz was not just brave, it was politically profound. In a time when the city was under constant bombardment and fear ran deep, the Queen Mother's presence at hospitals, shelters, and devastated neighborhoods sent an unmistakable message. The royal family would share in the nation's suffering and stand firm in the face of adversity. This was no longer merely about protocol, it was about presence as principle. Her refusal to flee to the countryside, and even more pointedly her rejection of an offer to evacuate to Canada with the royal children, communicated her deep solidarity with the British people. This wartime visibility became a cornerstone of her public image. It created a narrative of courage, steadfastness, and maternal care for the nation, a narrative that proved enduring well beyond the war. She became a living symbol of the keep calm and carry on spirit, a personification of Britain's emotional endurance. Her appearances during and after bombings, often with dust still in the air and danger still present, provided emotional validation to those who had lost homes and loved ones. She wore her pearls not to distance herself from the people, but to dignify their suffering by meeting them as a sovereign equal. The press seized upon these moments, immortalizing her in photographs and headlines that transformed the Queen Mother into a national emblem of resilience. The power of this public image was not accidental. The Queen Mother understood, perhaps instinctively, how to work with the media. Though her early royal life coincided with a more reserved approach to public relations, she evolved with the times, learning to leverage press coverage without succumbing to its more invasive tendencies. By carefully curating her interactions, controlling access, and emphasizing her humanitarian and ceremonial roles, she shaped a public narrative that was both emotionally compelling and politically useful. She embraced the media not as a tool of vanity but as a channel of connection. During wartime, newsreels, radio broadcasts, and newspaper columns carried her voice and image into homes across the country. Her speech, her carriage, and even her wardrobe became vehicles for communicating strength and continuity. At a time when propaganda and morale were essential tools in the national defense, her image helped reassure a battered population that tradition and unity still stood firm. By embodying grace under pressure, she elevated her own symbolic role while reinforcing the monarchy's relevance in a changing world. Even after the war, she continued to master the art of image cultivation. Unlike political figures who rise and fall in popularity, the Queen Mother cultivated an enduring affection rooted in constancy, empathy, and poise. Her aging became a symbol of the nation's continuity. Her public roles attending church services, opening hospitals, presiding over garden parties may have appeared apolitical, yet they carried deep political weight. They affirmed that the monarchy could adapt to a modern world without losing its essential character. Her presence became a comfort to generations, linking the past to the present in subtle but meaningful ways. The relationship between the Queen Mother and the media was not without its tensions. The post-war world saw increasing democratization of information, and scrutiny of the royal family grew sharper. The emergence of tabloids, television, and later digital media posed new challenges. Yet the Queen Mother's public image, carefully maintained and rarely tarnished, served as a buffer against many of these pressures. Her deliberate distance from controversy, her avoidance of overt political statements, and her steadfast devotion to duty protected her from the harsher critiques that other royals sometimes faced. The longevity of her image can be attributed in part to this discretion, a quality that allowed her to remain beloved while rarely being provocative. Her patronage of charities and civic organizations further solidified her standing. By supporting causes that ranged from children's welfare to the arts, she aligned the monarchy with values that resonated widely across class and region. These affiliations were more than ceremonial. They represented a personal investment in the social fabric of the nation. For the public, her continued involvement in such efforts long after her official role had diminished signaled a genuine commitment to service. For the monarchy, her example helped reframe the institution as not merely an elite relic but a living, responsive presence in public life. The Queen Mother's wartime persona, in particular, endured as a foundational myth in the post-war monarchy. It cast her as the moral heart of the royal family, a figure who had shared in the nation's trauma and recovery. This narrative proved especially useful in moments of royal uncertainty, such as the abdication crisis of Edward VIII, or later, the divorces and controversies of the next generation. Her stable and familiar presence functioned as a kind of emotional ballast, keeping the monarchy tethered to its most cherished ideals. In moments of crisis, her image was invoked as a reminder of what the monarchy could be: unpretentious, loyal, enduring. This symbolic utility extended into her old age. As she entered her 90s, the Queen Mother became something of a national grandmother. Her birthdays were televised events, marked by crowds, pageantry, and press tributes. Yet even in this stage of life, she did not retreat into seclusion. She continued to perform public duties, attend national ceremonies, and support cultural initiatives. Her smile, her hats, her pearls, these became national symbols in themselves, markers of continuity in a world that was rapidly changing. The longevity of her influence speaks to the power of public image when it is rooted in authenticity and sustained by consistent action. The Queen Mother did not rely on grand speeches or political maneuvering. Her influence came through gestures, appearances, and the careful management of perception. She understood that in monarchy the symbolic is often more powerful than the administrative. By mastering the language of symbolism, she ensured her place not only in the royal family but in the national imagination. This mastery of image also helped insulate the monarchy from more radical shifts in public sentiment. As Britain changed, becoming more diverse, less deferential, and more skeptical of inherited privilege, the Queen Mother's image served as a reassuring constant. She provided a narrative of monarchy that emphasized service, sacrifice, and continuity. Even as debates swirled around the relevance of royalty, her image remained largely untouched. This speaks not only to her personal qualities but to the enduring need for figures who can embody national ideals in human form. Her legacy in this regard has influenced subsequent generations of royals. The modern emphasis on charitable work, public visibility, and careful media engagement owes much to the path she charted. Her example demonstrated that public affection could be earned not through power, but through presence. Her strategy, never fully articulated but always effective, was one of consistency, discretion, and emotional resonance. In doing so, she helped define what it means to be a royal in the modern era. Not a ruler but a symbol, not a commander but a connector. The Queen Mother's life is a testament to the power of public image when guided by purpose and authenticity. Her appearances during war, her embrace of the media, and her enduring role as a symbol of national unity reveal a nuanced understanding of influence. She knew that the monarchy's strength lies not in its power to legislate, but in its ability to inspire. Through her actions and her image, she provided that inspiration for decades. Her legacy endures not only in history books but in the collective memory of a nation that saw in her the very qualities it aspired to: courage, dignity, and an unshakable sense of duty. In the long history of monarchy, certain figures emerge not for the titles they hold at the height of power, but for the subtle and enduring influence they wield behind the throne. The Queen Mother, by virtue of her unique position as the widow of a monarch and the mother or grandmother of future sovereigns, often becomes one of these central yet understated architects of continuity and adaptation. Her role transcends the visible duties of public appearances or ceremonial presence. Instead, it enters the complex realm of guidance, mentorship, and legacy. While she no longer reigns, she remains essential in shaping those who do, acting as a link between tradition and transformation. Through mentorship, she imparts lessons drawn from personal experience, steers the tone of royal conduct, and transmits institutional memory. She is the unseen compass during pivotal transitions, helping to define how the monarchy presents itself to the world and how it survives challenges across generations. The Queen Mother's influence is perhaps most profound in her role as an advisor to future monarchs. Having lived through the intricacies of court life, political tensions, and the relentless gaze of the public, she possesses a rare understanding of the burdens that come with the crown. This wisdom becomes a crucial resource for younger royals as they ascend to positions of responsibility. The advice she offers is rarely codified or constitutional. Rather, it is conveyed through example, counsel, and quiet correction. In this mentorship, she becomes both guide and guardian, providing emotional support and political insight. She teaches not just how to perform the duties of monarchy, but how to embody its symbolic and moral responsibilities. This mentorship often begins in early childhood and continues into adulthood, with the Queen Mother shaping not only the formal education of royal heirs but their understanding of public service, tradition, and leadership. Her influence is seen in everything from the values instilled in young royals to their mannerisms and public engagements. For instance, the Queen Mother Elizabeth played a pivotal role in the upbringing of her daughter, Queen Elizabeth II. She helped shape the future queen's strong sense of duty, personal discipline, and emotional restraint, qualities that would come to define one of the longest and most stable reigns in British history. Through countless private conversations and modeled behavior, she prepared her daughter for a life lived under scrutiny, where every gesture carried significance and every silence spoke volumes. Her role as mentor extended to helping manage the public image of the monarchy. The Queen Mother understood that the royal family's survival in a democratic and increasingly egalitarian age depended not just on ancient lineage or constitutional function, but on the ability to retain public affection and relevance. She instilled in future monarchs the importance of empathy, accessibility, and emotional intelligence. These were not simply personal virtues. They were essential tools for navigating modern royal life. The idea that a sovereign must be seen as both dignified and relatable was not always a given, and it was in part shaped and encouraged by queen mothers who had learned, often under fire, how public perception could make or break a reign. In her own time, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, had learned to navigate an evolving media landscape, particularly during the Second World War when the public looked to the monarchy for guidance and inspiration. The lessons she drew from that period about presence, authenticity, and symbolism were not forgotten. She passed them on, helping younger royals understand how to manage the often mercurial demands of the press while maintaining the mystique and authority required of royalty. This balancing act required a deep understanding of timing, language, and appearance, and the Queen Mother proved an adept tutor in all three. The mentorship she offered was not limited to personal behavior, it also involved political sensitivity. While a constitutional monarchy necessitates political neutrality, the institution itself is deeply interwoven with the nation's sense of identity and stability. A monarch must be attuned to political undercurrents, societal shifts, and global developments, even if they never publicly comment on them. The Queen Mother's long view of history, shaped by decades of national and international events, gave her a perspective that was invaluable to younger royals. She advised when to speak and, more importantly, when not to speak. She taught how to communicate through symbols, how to handle crises with calm resolve, and how to unify rather than divide. Such advice is often intangible, passed through glances, tones, or understated observations. Yet its impact is lasting. The Queen Mother often acts as a silent strategist, helping to guide royal responses to both personal and institutional crises. Whether dealing with family scandals, changing public expectations, or geopolitical shifts, her influence helps ensure that the monarchy remains both rooted in tradition and responsive to change. She does not command but she persuades. She does not decree but she shapes. Her power is informal but it is undeniable. The enduring legacy of Queen Mothers is therefore embedded in the monarchy's ability to adapt while appearing timeless. They serve as custodians of royal values, ensuring that while styles may change and cultural norms evolve, the essence of monarchy duty, service, continuity remains intact. Their very presence reminds the public and the royals alike of the institution's deep roots. At the same time, they serve as agents of modernization, nudging younger royals to adopt new approaches to public engagement, philanthropy, and diplomacy. Queen Mary, the grandmother of Queen Elizabeth II, played a similar role in preserving and defining the monarchy's modern identity. Known for her unwavering commitment to royal protocol, Queen Mary was also a firm believer in adaptation through continuity. She guided both her son George VI and her granddaughter Elizabeth II through the intricacies of royal life during dramatically different times. Her advice to her granddaughters emphasized decorum, preparation, and an almost sacred view of duty. Yet she also understood the need to support the monarchy through cultural relevance. Her patronage of the arts and museums reflected a vision of monarchy as a custodian of national heritage and culture, thereby securing its place in the public imagination as something more than just ceremonial. Through such examples, it becomes clear that Queen Mothers are not merely relics of past reigns, but architects of future ones. Their legacies are not written in policy but in people. The habits, instincts, and values of future monarchs often bear the quiet fingerprints of their maternal mentors. In this way, the Queen Mother ensures the survival not just of the royal family, but of the monarchy as an enduring institution. She does this through personal influence, historical continuity, and cultural stewardship. As the royal family navigates the 21st century, the lessons and legacy of Queen Mothers remain as relevant as ever. In an age of social media, public skepticism, and rapid political change, the monarchy must constantly redefine its role without appearing to abandon its essence. The balance is delicate, and the guidance of seasoned figures becomes invaluable. The Queen Mother represents the institutional memory and emotional wisdom that help royal heirs find their place. She does not dictate direction, but she helps illuminate the path. In this sense, the Queen Mother functions almost as a living archive, a repository of royal experience, etiquette, and ethical framework. Her ability to remember past triumphs and failures and to distill their lessons into meaningful advice is crucial. She anchors the family in a narrative larger than any individual reign. She teaches that monarchy is not a personal possession but a national trust, one that must be earned anew by each generation through service, empathy, and resilience. Perhaps her most profound legacy is emotional. Through her support, counsel, and unwavering presence, the Queen Mother offers the kind of personal grounding that even monarchs need. The isolation that comes with royal life, the separation from ordinary human experiences, The pressure of constant judgment is mitigated by the Queen Mother's quiet understanding. She has been there. She knows the weight of the crown even without wearing it. And in knowing it, she helps others bear it. This emotional role becomes especially important in moments of personal or national crisis. When young royals face the burdens of sudden responsibility, the Queen Mother offers reassurance rooted in lived experience. She understands that even the most prepared heir must face the reality of leadership in their own way. But she also knows how to be a steady hand, how to say the right word at the right moment, or how to simply be present when words are not enough. Even after her passing, her legacy continues to shape the monarchy. Her values, traditions, and lessons live on in the actions of the monarchs she mentored. Her photographs may adorn palace walls, but her influence is not static. It pulses through the decisions, gestures, and tone of the reigning sovereign. The public may not always be aware of her guidance, but they feel its effects. They see it in a queen's solemn dignity, a king's compassionate gesture, a prince's thoughtful silence. These are echoes of the Queen Mother's teachings, refracted through new generations. The Queen Mother's greatest contribution lies in her ability to ensure that the monarchy is not merely inherited, but understood. She prepares heirs not just for the rituals of kingship or queenship, but for the emotional, moral, and symbolic dimensions of leadership. She teaches that a sovereign must not only rule but serve, that they must not only represent but also connect, and that the true power of the monarchy lies not in crowns or ceremonies, but in the capacity to embody the hopes and values of a nation. Through this enduring role, the Queen Mother becomes more than a historical figure. She becomes a living force within the royal institution. Her mentorship shapes the face and soul of monarchy, ensuring that with every new reign, the crown carries forward not just power but purpose. Her life is a bridge between past and future, a silent vow that tradition can endure not through rigidity, but through wisdom, grace, and a devotion to those who follow. The Queen Mother occupies a singular place in British history and public consciousness, not merely as the consort of a king or the mother of a reigning monarch, but as an enduring symbol of continuity, emotional strength, and dignified leadership. Her legacy stretches far beyond her formal royal duties, deeply embedded in the national psyche and cultural identity of Britain. Over the course of her long life, she transformed from a youthful duchess reluctantly thrust into royal life, into a matriarchal figure admired across generations. Her presence offered the nation a sense of familiarity and reassurance during tumultuous decades. She became a living symbol of steadfastness through 2 world wars, the abdication crisis, political upheaval, and sweeping societal change. In doing so, she helped redefine what it means to be a royal, a leader, and a woman in the public eye. The Queen Mother's transformation into a national icon was not instantaneous but evolved over decades of public service, personal sacrifice, and consistent engagement with the people of Britain. She came to embody tradition not as a relic of the past, but as a living representation of values such as duty, loyalty, and grace under pressure. Her dignified demeanor, her consistent presence at national events, and her public warmth made her a comforting figure during times of uncertainty. She was not simply a member of the royal family, she was for many the heart of it. Her commitment to public life, even long after her husband's death and her daughter's ascension to the throne, showcased a devotion to service that transcended personal ambition or constitutional obligation. Her symbolic power was particularly potent during moments of national trauma. During the Second World War, she refused to leave London, choosing instead to share in the struggles of the British people as the bombs fell over the capital. Her visits to hospitals, bomb sites, and military units weren't just dutiful, they were emblematic of resilience. She and King George VI represented a moral backbone for the nation, a visible source of courage. The image of the Queen Mother walking through the ruins of bombed-out buildings, smiling gently and offering words of comfort, resonated deeply with the public. She was seen not only as royalty but as a mother figure to the nation, radiating calm and encouragement. This wartime role firmly established her as a symbol of national unity and strength, qualities that remained central to her public image for the rest of her life. Beyond the symbolism, the Queen Mother also had a profound impact on how the monarchy was perceived in the modern world. In the 20th century, Britain underwent vast cultural and political changes, from the decline of the empire to the rise of multiculturalism, from economic crises to social liberalization. Amid these shifts, the monarchy had to evolve or risk becoming obsolete. The Queen Mother played a key role in helping the royal family navigate these changes without losing its core identity. She understood the power of image and the importance of emotional connection. She helped to shape the monarchy as an institution that, while rooted in history, could still remain relevant and meaningful to the public. Her grace, charm, and emotional intelligence redefined the public's expectations of what a royal could be. She balanced formality with accessibility and tradition with empathy. While she maintained the ceremonial dignity expected of her station, she also allowed moments of humanity to shine through, whether in her humor, her kindness, or her warmth. This helped to humanize the monarchy at a time when public trust in institutions was often eroding. She showed that strength could be quiet and compassionate, and that leadership could be expressed through stability rather than dominance. Her longevity only amplified her influence. As she aged, she came to represent an enduring thread connecting the nation's past to its present. In terms of gender, the Queen Mother also contributed to shifting perceptions of women in leadership roles. Although she operated within the traditional confines of monarchy, she wielded considerable soft power and moral authority. Her influence was not based on positional power but on her ability to inspire, guide, and support. She demonstrated that leadership does not always require a formal title or overt control. It can also emerge from character, wisdom, and presence. She was, in many ways, a model of female leadership in a time when public life was still largely dominated by men. Her example helped pave the way for future generations of women in the royal family and beyond to assume more visible and impactful roles in public life. Even after the Queen Mother's official role in the monarchy diminished, her cultural impact only deepened. Her birthday celebrations became national events, marked by outpourings of affection and respect. She became an emblem of continuity in a rapidly changing world. The British public came to view her not only as a royal figure but as a cherished part of their collective identity. Her story, marked by personal loss, historical upheaval, and unwavering service, resonated deeply with a society that had itself endured war, austerity, and transformation. In her later years, the Queen Mother remained a consistent presence at public events and national ceremonies, her appearance always drawing admiration and affection. Her familiar features, always smiling, adorned with her iconic hats and pearls, came to symbolize a kind of gentle endurance. As the royal family weathered various public challenges in the late 20th century, including divorces, scandals, and questions about its relevance, her dignified presence helped maintain a sense of stability and continuity. She did not speak often in public, but her very presence communicated a profound message: that institutions can endure, that grace matters, and that legacy is built on consistent character rather than fleeting popularity. Her lasting influence also helped shape the role of future queen mothers or maternal figures within the monarchy. While the specific title may not always exist, the idea of a wise, experienced, and emotionally grounded woman guiding younger royals remains integral to the institution's health and adaptability. The Queen Mother established a template for how such figures can function as cultural touchstones, mentors, and moral guides. She demonstrated the importance of intergenerational wisdom, the value of restraint, and the need for continuity. Her impact can be seen in how later generations of royals approach their roles with greater emotional intelligence, media savvy, and an emphasis on service. As society continues to evolve in the 21st century, the concept of the Queen Mother will likely undergo further transformation. In an age defined by rapid communication, diverse cultural identities, and shifting social norms, future royal matriarchs will need to balance tradition with transparency, heritage with modern values. Yet the core lessons offered by the Queen Mother remain timeless. Her emphasis on empathy, quiet strength, and public service offers a roadmap for navigating change without sacrificing integrity. Her legacy shows that public trust is earned through consistency and humility, and that real leadership often lies in the ability to inspire rather than command. The Queen Mother's life is ultimately a story of adaptation. Though she was born into a world of deference, hierarchy, and imperial certainty, she learned to flourish in one increasingly shaped by democracy, diversity, and emotional openness. Her ability to evolve while remaining rooted in traditional values is what made her such a powerful symbol. She did not seek to revolutionize the monarchy. Instead, she nurtured it, protected it, and helped guide it gently into modernity. Her legacy endures not because she changed everything, but because she preserved what mattered while allowing room for growth. As Britain continues to grapple with its identity in a changing world, whether through debates about the role of the monarchy, questions of national unity, or social transformation, the image of the Queen Mother still resonates. She represents a version of leadership that is quiet but firm, symbolic but deeply personal. Her influence will likely continue to shape the monarchy's public character for years to come. Through her example, she reminds both the royal family and the nation that strength often lies in kindness, that dignity can coexist with warmth, and that the most lasting power is the ability to connect with others in their moments of need. The Queen Mother's enduring impact on the British monarchy and society at large cannot be overstated. She was more than a royal figure. She was a cultural institution, a moral anchor, and a living bridge between tradition and transformation. Through her unwavering commitment to service, her resilience in the face of adversity, and her deep understanding of public sentiment, she helped to preserve and modernize the monarchy. She mentored future monarchs, shaped public perceptions of leadership, and offered a model of grace that still resonates today. As future generations look to redefine royal roles in a complex and fast-changing world, the legacy of the Queen Mother offers both inspiration and guidance. Her life stands as a powerful reminder that enduring influence does not always come from authority or position, but from character, consistency, and a profound dedication to something greater than oneself.